Alright, so today we are making stir-fried green beans in this pan. And in this pan we're going to make some pork fried rice using up what I have in my house. So I'm just going to do a little bit of olive oil, or excuse me, vegetable oil here in this first skillet. And I'm also going to add just a little bit of butter. Is that traditional in Asian cooking? Nope, but it adds flavor. And green beans cooked in butter and garlic is delicious. So I'm going to do 2 pats of butter. And I have my pan on medium-high heat. Voila. And I'm simply going to toss my green beans in. And I'm pretty much just going to stir these, and I'll add a little bit of black pepper and maybe just a tiny bit of salt to this, but I'm just going to let them cook down for a while, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of minced garlic toward the end so that the garlic doesn't burn, and then maybe dress them with a little sesame oil, and that'll pretty much be it, and they'll be yummy, and we'll be good to go. Now in this pan I already have several, I would say probably like 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, and to that I'm going to add a very small amount of pork tenderloin that I have chopped up. I had a 2-pack of pork tenderloin from Costco, and so I'm going to use it to make pork tenderloin in the crock-pot, but I took a small, about maybe a third of one of the pork tenderloin, and I just cubed it up and added a little bit of salt and more black pepper. So we're going to start by cooking that up. So fried rice is such a great budget-friendly meal idea. Rice is obviously cheap, and if you have a couple of eggs or even a little bit of leftover chicken or pork or anything really, shrimp, beef, your options are kind of endless. We're going to go ahead and cook this up. So I already have 3 eggs beaten off to the side, and I pre-cooked the rice. And that is the biggest key when doing fried rice, is that you pre-cook your rice and then let it cool. So it could be yesterday's white rice that didn't get used up at dinner time, or in my case, I just wanted to have fried rice because I'm kind of missing the Chinese takeout right now. So I'm just making my own instead. I'm just going to give these green beans a little toss. We're just going to let those continue to saute up. And we're just going to let this pork keep going until it is nice and browned on the outside and just cooks through on the pieces, and then I'm actually going to remove that from the skillet so I can put in my veggies and not burn my pork. Alright, so there's nice golden brown bits on my pork, so I'm going to go ahead and scooch that onto a plate. Alright, so I'm just going to scoop the pork out, and I just took the pan off the heat so that I'm not scorching the oil on the bottom of the pan, because nobody wants that. Turn that stove off, that burner is hot. Alright, so here are 2 diced up carrots. I just had some carrots in my fridge. You could also use baby carrots and just quarter them lengthwise and then cut them up. So we're going to add those to the pan. I do have some frozen corn and some frozen peas that I stuck in a bowl to just defrost as I was kind of getting things going. So we're going to add those a little bit later on. I have 3 beaten eggs that I did already salt and pepper. So we have those ready and waiting for us. My green beans are looking like they're getting close to being done, so I'm going to add just a little bit of garlic, and I'm actually going to turn the heat off. Alright, so I'm just going to use 1 decent sized scoop, about yay much, And I'm just going to add that in. Gotta love the minced garlic from Costco. I use this so often in cooking. So we're just going to go ahead and stir that garlic in to the oil and butter to just flavor things at the last minute. And this is perfect. Our garlic's not going to burn because the heat's already off, but it's going to give such great flavor to the oil that we've cooked the beans in. If you like a little spice, you could totally add a little bit of sriracha or even just some red chili flakes or any sort of Asian chili that you might have. And then the last thing I'm going to add is just a little bit of this organic toasted sesame oil. This one is from Trader Joe's, but you can get sesame oil at pretty much any grocery store these days. And my green beans are done. Now we're going to go ahead and stir these carrots over here, making sure that they're not burning. And we just want to get them a little bit softened since these were not pre-cooked or anything. You certainly could use a bag of frozen mixed vegetables if that's what you have in your freezer, if you don't have fresh carrots on hand right now. But I did. So that's the great thing about fried rice. It's pretty much like clean out your fridge. You can put in just about anything you want. And for today's rice, I actually used brown rice because that's what I had. And since I knew I was going to use it for this, I actually put just a little bit of chicken bouillon in the pan while I was cooking the rice to give it a little bit of flavor to begin with. And then we're going to do a little sauce at the end, which I did already mix up before I decided to film this, so I'll tell you about it in a minute. Alright, so the carrots are looking done, and I have my green onion separated into the more white parts of the green onion and then the actual green onion. So we're going to do the whites in the pan, and of course if you don't have green onion, you can use regular old white or yellow onion, or you could use chives. Okay, so the green onions are in. I just gave them a stir. I don't want to cook them too long because I don't want them to get mushy. We're going to go ahead and add in our frozen veggies and get those so they're just thawed enough, and then we're going to toss in our rice. And because the frozen vegetables are going to bring down the temperature of the pan, I am going to crank it back up a little bit more. Sort of combat that because we still want a good frying, sauteing going on here. So that's what they look like. And so once any frozen clumps are gone, we're going to go ahead and scooch those off to the side because they'll continue to cook with the heat of the pan as we go along. And then, here is my lovely sheet pan of cooled, cooked, fried, or brown rice, I should say. That's going to become delicious fried rice. Now, before I put the rice on the pan, I did actually take a little bit of cooking spray, just so that the rice would not stick to the pan. Just a light layer, just to make my life easier. So if you have like pan cooking spray or any of those types of things, you could totally do that. And then while my veggies are sauteing, I'm just breaking this up enough so that when I try to dump it in there, it won't become a complete mess. And here we go. Let's see if I can get rice everywhere. Kind of scoop the vegetables off the side so that they're up on the top and the rice is down at the bottom, so that's getting a good sear on it. And we're just going to let this go so we get a little bit of those crispy pieces on the bottom. They'll be really good. So we've got our green onions ready and waiting. And then I also have some sauce. So I used soy sauce for this. I did a little bit of the chopped green onions. I did oyster sauce and sesame oil. I went a little heavy on the sesame oil because I personally like that. It's just a preference of mine. And then I did do a little bit of black pepper. So I just stirred that up. And then I also have this really fun ginger that comes in ice cubes. This is what the package looks like. So there are these little mini ice cubes of grated ginger that you can just pop right out. I've seen cilantro this way, and I've also seen garlic this way. I get it at Trader Joe's, but I have seen it sometimes at Target and other grocery stores as well. So definitely check your local store and see if you can find it. Dorit is the brand. So I really like it. It works out well. So I'm going to actually pop 2 of these little ginger cubes in my fried rice here in just a second. 2 of those in, right here in the middle, so it can get right down to the actual skillet. And I'm just going to do 2 of them. I don't want to be too heavy on the ginger, just enough to give it that flavor, underlying flavor going on. All right, I'm going to go ahead and add my pork back into the pan right now, so we can just make sure it's nice and warm. Give that a good toss. I do this after those little ginger ice cubes are completely melted. I have seen some cooking videos where they do add a couple pats of butter and some where they don't, so that's a matter of preference for you. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make another well in the middle of the pan, and we're going to add in our beaten egg, and I'm going to drizzle just a little bit of oil, so it might get loud here, but we'll see. Oh yeah. And now the 3 eggs that I have beaten. If you don't have pork or any type of meat on hand, you could absolutely just do a couple of extra eggs, or you could leave the eggs out completely, or do an egg substitute if you want to make it vegan. You would also have to omit the oyster sauce, as that is not vegan either. But I have seen where you can actually purchase vegan, so oyster flavored sauce. So you might want to check into that at your local grocery store or your specialty co-ops that maybe have more vegan-friendly options than the regular grocery store. So, and I'm just cooking the egg, and if a little bit of the rice actually gets into the egg, and that's not a big deal. So we're just letting that cook up. And I'm also going to toss in the rest of the green onions at this point. We're just going to finish cooking those eggs. And someone's going to make an appearance.
That's good.
And then the eggs are just about done, so I'm just going to start tossing them in completely with the rice, giving everything a really good stir. As you can tell, my son does not like to take off this Sonic costume. The boys have been wearing them constantly, and I pretty much have to pry it off their bodies so that I can wash them. All right, so my rice is looking really good, and it should all be heated very well, and a few of the pieces of rice are starting to get that nice crisp on them. So we're going to go ahead and add our oyster sauce, soy sauce, and sesame oil mixture to the top to give it extra yummy, delicious flavor. And then we can add soy sauce at the table if we want. Now you could absolutely add a splash of like chicken stock into that sauce if you want it to be a little bit thinner. And I think I forgot to say, but I made 3 cups of rice for this because I'm feeding a family, and I wouldn't mind some leftovers for later. So you could absolutely do this as a single portion if you wanted to, or just for 2 by maybe cutting down a cup or 2 of the rice. And we're going to go ahead and turn the heat off and just make sure that's fully combined. And we're going to serve it with our delicious stir-fried green beans. All right, and that's how we do it.
Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell.
Here is what it looks like all dished up. And here is my mommy plate. And I am excited to try this out. Alright friends, so the verdict is the fried rice was really, really good, and so were the green beans. I think if you're making this for yourself, definitely add the chili flake to the green beans. I think it'll just give it an extra kick and be really delicious. If I were making it for just me, I would have. The fried rice turned out great. My older son actually asked that I put more carrots in next time. So I do think you could do 3 carrots instead of 2 if you're making a batch quite this large. or if you're going to do 2 cups of rice, I would do 1 carrot per cup of cooked rice that you have. Let's put it that way. And I would definitely double the amount of pork if I were going to make this as a dinner, but since I was just trying to use up what I had, I think I only probably ended up using like maybe half to 3/4 of a cup of pork, but if you have more chicken or pork, I would do a full cup to maybe even a cup and a half if you really want to up the protein content in it. But other than that, I thought it was really, really good. And yeah, I'll be sharing some more meals with you soon. All right, friends, today we are gonna do a pork tenderloin in the crock pot. I feel like this is a nice budget-friendly meal because we're gonna use potatoes, carrots, and onions, super basic. I'm gonna use a packet of Lipton onion soup mix, some garlic powder, and some black pepper. I'm not going to add any salt because the onion soup mix tends to be pretty salty all on its own. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to do is just grease the bottom of my crock pot using some of the Kirkland brand cooking spray. I gotta say this is not my favorite cooking spray ever, but what you gonna do? Alright, so to the bottom of my crock pot, I'm going to layer in some onions that I've cut in half and then sliced into quarters. And I'm actually going to put those down on the bottom so that the roast doesn't stick to the bottom of the crock pot. And also, it's just going to give amazing flavor. And I find that when I put an onion in the crock pot, most of the time, I don't actually need to add any liquid at all because the onions give off so much moisture. So now we're going to go ahead and add in my pork tenderloin. This is about 1.5 pork tenderloins. And I get these at Costco, and for 4 pork tenderloins, it was $7.90. So if you break that down, it's less than $2 per tenderloin, which is a great price. So I'm going to go ahead and dump the 1.5 pork tenderloins right in my crock pot. We're going to toss this out. So now we're going to go ahead and season our pork with the packet of onion soup mix. So I'm going to sprinkle this pretty liberally directly onto the pork. And I'm just going to reserve a little bit to put on top of our potatoes and onions, but I really want the seasoning to be on the meat. And then we're going to use a little bit of granulated garlic or garlic powder and a little bit of black pepper. We're just going to sprinkle that right on there. And this is very much a to taste sort of thing. I don't use exact measurements. Sorry, guys. And then I have a whole bunch of chopped up carrots. Now I certainly use baby carrots sometimes, but I happen to have whole carrots this time, and a whole bunch of sliced, I just halved them, red potatoes. These ones were pretty small, so I just did them in half, but if they were a little bit larger, I'd probably quarter them. And we're just going to go ahead and dump the potatoes and carrots right in to the crock pot. Carrot escaping. Let's see if I can reach him. There he is. Okay. And then we're just going to do the rest of the seasoning packet right on top. A little more pepper and just a little more garlic. You could obviously use fresh minced garlic, but I know not everybody has fresh garlic on hand right now, so garlic powder works just as well. You could add like half a cup of water if you want to. And then I'm going to put this on high for about 8 hours, and it will be good to go. Alright guys, so here is what it looks like when it is all finished. We have some lovely potatoes, carrots, and pork roast. And it is all tender and yummy and delicious. I'm going to go ahead and cut into this so you can see what it looks like on the plate. So here is what it looks like when we are all said and done. Got our potatoes, our carrots, and our pork. And there is some lovely broth toward the bottom, so we can take that and pour it over everything to just add to the delicious flavor that we've got going on. But as you can see, it just kind of pulls right apart, and it's delicious. This one I wanted to show you guys, but the recipe is so easy that I didn't think I even needed to show you. So on a greased sheet pan, I used a paper towel to pat the salmon dry. I seasoned it with seasoned salt, pepper, and garlic powder. and I baked it at 425 degrees for 12 minutes, and I put a little tiny pat of butter on each piece of salmon, and it is going to be absolutely wonderful, and it's so easy. Alright, YouTube friends, and now Liam is going to make us some scrambled eggs. Go ahead, buddy. So we're making some scrambled eggs for him and for me. So we're going to do 4 eggs into a bowl. And now he's going to wash his hands. And now he's going to turn the stove on to medium heat. Push down first. Yep, good job. To get our pan preheating. And now he's going to add a little bit of butter into our pan. Yep, a little more than that is good.
Usually better doing this with a knife, but this is just sort of hard.
Yeah, you can get a knife if you want. Okay, there we go. And now to our eggs, he's going to add some salt and pepper. It's getting low, huh? One more shake. All right, and then some pepper. And then we like to add just a little bit of sour cream, just about as much as is on the fork. And then we're going to poke the yolks and scramble the eggs. Right, Liam?
Right.
And just mix that sour cream in there. Carl, do you want to put the lid back on the sour cream and stick it in the fridge for us?
I want to see how to make eggs.
And Liam, tell the viewers, how old are you?
I am 10 years old.
So look at this. I've already got him trained making breakfast and everything. He's working hard whisking those eggs without spilling, right, Liam?
Right.
Yeah, he's doing good.
Mom's busy taking a shower or something, or she's got to do something busy. Liam could cook us some eggs.
I don't know if we're going to do it completely unsupervised yet, but we'll get there. Alright, and now he's going to go ahead and pour all of the egg mixture right into the nice preheated pan. And then he's going to stick the bowl right in the sink so we don't have a mess on the counter. It's all good. And Carl is supervising to make sure that everything is done just right. And now, and now Liam's just going to make sure that the eggs are not burning on the bottom of the pan. Don't mind the sounds of babies in the background.
I feel like this isn't cooking quite as fast as it used to.
So he's just continuously stirring, really working to scrape the eggs off of the bottom so that they don't stick and burn.
Are those eggs?
And Carl's lifting River up so she can see. Never a dull moment around here.
Because I asked her if she wanted to see what...
You okay? So the eggs are coming along nicely. And he's just making sure that they don't stick to the bottom. Giving them a good stir and a good
Should we
scrape.
take this off really quick?
You can go ahead and maybe turn the heat. I would leave it on the burner, but just go ahead and turn the heat off. And then keep on stirring. At what age did you guys teach your kids to cook? I'm curious. I think I was definitely cooking like scrambled eggs and probably like ramen noodles by Liam's age. They're looking like they're getting pretty close.
Yep, I'd say they're just about done here.
Alright, the eggs are looking done, and I find that if you add just a little bit of either milk or sour cream, half and half, whatever you happen to have on hand, it just makes for softer and fluffier eggs in the end. Good job, buddy. Good job. And voila, breakfast from a 10-year-old. So now I'm going to share with you my apple crisp recipe. So here is 7 absolutely delicious Granny Smith apples that I have peeled, cored, and sliced. And they are looking beautiful and ready to go. And now we're going to make the lovely oat crumbly delicious topping that's going to go right on top of our apples. So to my bowl, I'm going to add 1.5 sticks of butter that has been softened. So here's 1. And I'm going to get a knife so I can cut this second one in half. So have you guys been doing any baking? And the question on my mind is, do you normally bake, or are you just baking in quarantine? Or are you trying to be healthy and not doing any baking? And if so, what are you making? Because I'm curious. Okay, so I've got my butter in here. To this, we are going to add 1 cup of flour. So a handy little trick is to actually have a 1 cup scoop in your flour container, because then you don't have to wash a measuring cup every single time that you use it. This recipe also does call for a pinch of salt. We're going to use 1.5 cups of old-fashioned oats. So I just grabbed my lovely Target brand oats, and I just use a half measuring cup because then I can just do it 3 times and call it a day. So there's 1/2 cup, a whole cup, and now 1.5. And then we're also going to add 1.5 cups of brown sugar. Now I do keep a measuring cup in here, but I usually only keep a 1/4 cup. So we're going to go ahead and use this one anyway. So again, 3 of these to make 1.5 cups. And I think I'm going to need to get brown sugar the next time I'm at the store, because we are running low now. I'm just about out. And then the last thing we're going to add to this is 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. I buy my cinnamon from Costco because I absolutely love it and I use it on so many things. And I'm even going to do just a smidge more because I like it so much. And then we're going to go ahead and blend this all together. And I usually use a pastry blender to do that. I find that that just is the easiest for me personally. So I'm just going to go ahead and break up any clumps of brown sugar and get it all blended with the butter so it can be golden brown and caramely and delicious. So do you guys like apple crisp? Or do you prefer like fruit cobblers? Or do you like pie? Like, what's your favorite dessert? I don't know. I'm just feeling like eating all the dessert right now. Oh boy. But yeah, apple crisp is one of my personal favorites. But I do like pie a lot too. So, you know, there's that. And the other question for you is, do you prefer Granny Smith apples in your apple crisp? Or do you like to have it with a sweeter variety of apple? I have my sister-in-law makes really good apple crisp, but she does it, I think, with Honey Crisp apples, and I prefer them with Granny Smith. So, what is your apple of choice? Or your dessert of choice? And if you have not already watched my last cooking video, I will try to remember to link that one at the end of this one so you can go and check that out. Made homemade pizza pockets with the kids, and so I think you guys will really enjoy that one. And let me know if you have any other recipe ideas or budget-friendly cooking tips. Definitely leave them in the comments. I always like learning from you. You guys have some great ideas. All right, so that is looking just about done. All right, so here's our mixture, all nice and crumbly and ready to go. We're gonna go ahead and top our Granny Smith apples with our beautiful mixture we've got. I like quite a bit of crisp topping to go with my apples. Not quite an even layer, but a pretty decent amount. I like a pretty thick layer on there. So that is what that looks like. It is ready to go in the oven. So we're going to bake this at 375 degrees for 35 to 40 minutes. I like my apples to still be just a bit on the crisp side, so I usually shoot for the 35. All right, friends, so this is what the beautiful apple crisp looks like when you pull it out of the oven. I'm just going to do a quick little scoop of this deliciousness. And there it is. Put it on the plate so you can see it in all its apple crumbly deliciousness. So I do have some vanilla ice cream in my freezer. So we're going to have apple crisp with vanilla ice cream for dessert tonight. And that is everything for this cooking video. Definitely don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help me out here on my channel. Subscribe, and of course ring the notification bell. Let me know any video ideas you have and any questions you would like me to answer. I thought I might do another Q&A video if you guys are interested. So leave me all your questions down below and I will link to my last cooking video. And I hope you guys are staying well, and I will talk to you soon. Bye guys!